there friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library, and Ling and I are here today to talk to you about a book that we're so hyped about, and it's just such an incredible joy to be able to talk about it today. I'm so happy that I got to read it recently. It was just absolutely fantastic. So I have to say that I was not originally planning on talking about this book today. I was going to wait for a couple weeks and then come back to it. But I decided to derail my plans for today and actually talk about this book because last week, in last week's video, I talked about Riley Sager's new book, The Only One Left. And I mentioned that his book and also my other favorite thriller author's new book came out on the same day. And somebody in the comments guessed correctly that that Ruth Ware was the other author I was talking about. So I was just so completely tickled that somebody guessed that correctly, and I was really impressed. So I decided, you know what, we're going to talk about it today because that person was spot on with their guess, and I'm super proud of that. So we're going to talk about Ruth Ware's new book today. If you don't know who Ruth Ware is, she's a really big name thriller author. Some of her previous works include last year's book, The It Girl, The Death of Mrs. Westaway. There was The Woman in Cabin 10 was kind of the one that really got her name out there and got her really popular. And I have been reading her works for years and just absolutely love her, so I was really excited that her and Riley Sager's thrillers both came out on the same day. That was an amazing week, let me just tell you. So Ruth Ware, if you haven't read any of her books before, that's totally fine. They're all standalone. It's not part of a series or anything like that. So if you haven't read anything by her, you're missing out, but obviously you can start with this one and then you will see the joy of her writing. So her newest book is called 0 Days. And it's a little bit shorter than her previous book. I don't think it actually even hits 400. No, it's 350-ish pages. And it's very different, not only from her last book, but really from a lot of the other books that she's written so far. So I know you're probably expecting me to say this is her best book yet and I love this one the most. I thought it was fantastic. It's not my favorite of her works, but that might just be a really personal thing to do with me because the previous book she wrote, The It Girl, hit all my buttons. It was really long. It was dark academia. It had really complicated and involved backstories with a lot of different characters. And that just it was like every single thing I love to read about in a thriller book. It hit those buttons. So I think for me, The It Girl was probably, for me, my favorite of her works. And I don't know that anything I read of hers, as much as I love her writing, is going to compare to that because I just absolutely love that book. But some people didn't love it as much as me, and there were some complaints that it was too long, that it dragged in places, there was too much backstory. So if you're one of those people that didn't particularly think that that book was as riveting as I did, you will probably like this one even more because it is a very tightly written, fast-paced, very exciting book. Does not let up on the action even for a second. Right from the beginning, it gets very interesting and holds that charm and that excitement for the entire duration of the book. So what is this book about? I'm going on and on about it, and I haven't even told you what it's about yet. So this book features the main character, Jacinta, whose nickname is Jack, and she and her husband, Gabe, are pen testers. Now, this is really interesting job that I had never heard about, didn't know anything about before reading this book, and it was really cool. So a pen tester is a penetration tester, and basically they are people that are hired by security companies to test their security companies. So they're hired by companies to test their security. So her husband Gabe does the technological end of it and she does the physical end of it. So basically they'll go and they'll see how the doors are locked, how easy it is to get into a building, how easy it is to break into one of the computers, how easy it is to track the employees, stuff like that. Because, you know, security is very important, especially in this digital technological world that we're living in. So I had no idea, and apparently that is a very real thing. That is a real job that people have, which is really cool. It goes right over my head because, you know, I can't even remember any of my passwords, and I keep them on little sticky notes places, which you find out in this book is like the worst thing you could possibly ever do. But it was so interesting learning about this job that I had never heard of before, and it was just so fascinating. So basically, Jack and her husband Gabe are pen testers. One night, a job that is supposed to just be really normal goes a little bit awry, and then when Jack gets home, she finds out that her husband Gabe has been killed. So it definitely does not look like it was a robbery. It looks like it was a hit. And unfortunately, the way that the pieces are falling into place, it looks like she is being framed for his murder, which she absolutely didn't do. So she is under investigation from the police. She goes on the run because she knows that she can't find Gabe's killer if she is locked up. So she has to try to use all the expertise at her disposal that she has for this job that she does to try to figure out exactly what Gabe was working on that could have gotten him in trouble, what caused his death. And it is such an amazing book. I really, really loved it. Even though it's not my favorite of her works, it's still absolutely amazing. So if you hadn't told me that this was Ruth Ware, I might not have thought that it was her, because like I said, it's really kind of a departure from a lot of the stuff that she's written previously. Now, there's definitely been technology in her books before. The Turn of the Key, I feel like, had a lot of technology in it. But a lot of her books really, I feel like, tend to be more like, not really gothic, although the last book and The Death of Mr. Westaway kind of was, but just more of this like atmospheric, slow sense of dread building. And then last book, of course, like I said before, was Dark Academia. And this book is not like that at all. This reads like a thriller that just grabs you by the seat of the pants and doesn't let go for the whole book. It was really, really fun. So if you like fast-paced books, there was obviously character development too. It was really, really good. There was a lot of twists and turns I did not see coming. You don't know who to trust. She wants to depend on her sister, who she's really close to. She wants to depend on Cole, Gabe's best friend. She wants to rely on the police, but there's all these moving parts in this situation. She does not know who to trust or how to help, or who she can go to for help. So if you like really fast-paced books that don't let up, if you're looking for a really great summer read, if you love Ruth Ware, obviously, you have to read this book, 0 Days, her newest thriller. So that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope that you're just as excited to read Ruth Ware's new book as I have been to talk about it. If so, please feel free to come check it out from Farmington Community Library. And also, thank you so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.